For Nina, can you talk about how the offense has evolved, is different from last season, in how you guys have broken up the shot disparities, because the numbers of shots that everybody's taken this year are different from last season?
We're a team with a lot of talent. We have a lot of depth, and we can score at every position 1 through 5. We share the ball well. As you can see, we have a good assist to turnover ratio, and we're just a team that know how to play together. We get out and run. We take great shots. We kind of go from the inside out, and we have perimeter players that can knock down the three, and we have bigs that can pound it on the inside.
Got a question on the aisle right.
Yeah, Cliff Brunt from the Associated Press. Kalani, what are your initial impressions of Tierra McCowan?
Big, strong, back to the basket post, got to block her out and do my work early or get punished. You can't get deep, and just do my work early and run the floor hard.
Questions for our student athletes. Question on the aisle, and then we'll move back to the right.
Jason Norris, Baylor Bear Insider. For Alexis Jones, you're kind of working your way back in. I guess just how are you feeling going into this game tomorrow night?
I'm excited. We're back at the Elite Eight again, and it's our last year for me, Nina, Prince, and KK. So I'm excited. I'm ready to go. I think everybody on the team is ready to go and excited to take on for the Elite Eight tomorrow.
Got a question on the aisle. There you go, and then we'll come up to Michelle.
Nina, how would you describe your role on this team?
Whatever the team needs me to be, whether that's to get the rebound, to score, to play defense, to push the ball in transition, really just being the overall team player and just helping them in any way they need at that time.
Question on the front.
Michelle Vogel, ESPN.com. This is for Christy. You guys showed signs of this team last year having so many weapons, but it's really gelled this year. Can you talk about, just from a guard's perspective, what it's like, how many different weapons you have, and the different ways that you guys can play depending on who's out on the court for you guys?
It's great because we can score from any position. We can share the ball, and as Nina said, we work it from the inside out, and we have people that can hit the three and bigs that can, battle inside and score the ball. So it's great having a team that's really gelled, and it's the right kind of time to be doing it too. So it's good to play with.
We've got a question on the aisle, and then we'll bring it back to the side.
Craig Smokey, ESPN Central Texas, and this is actually for all the players, if it's okay, and we can start with you, Alexis. What would a win tomorrow night and a trip to the Final Four mean to you?
It would mean we made it to the Final Four.
It would, be a huge deal. It's a goal that, me and the team have had, for a while now, and we've made that Elite Eight. I've made it twice, and Nina's made it 3 times, and Prince has made it 3 times, so it'll be a big deal. It's a big goal.
It's no secret what I've goal been all year. All 4 years that I've been in college, we've been granted with another opportunity, and it's up to us to make the best of it. So, of course, we'll be thrilled and excited to finally get over the hump and get to the Final Four.
Yeah, like you said, it would mean a lot to finally get over that hump and just see how we play once we get there.
I know how much it means to coach and our seniors, and it means that it's that much important to me that we get our seniors to the Final Four.
Got a question on the outside left.
Krista Pirtle with the Waco Trib. This can be for either Jones or Prince. We can start with Jones and then go to Prince. How important is it for y'all to start out quickly, as y'all have throughout the NCAA tournament so far?
I think it's important for us to start out, maybe not necessarily quickly, but it's important for us to start out strong. It's important for us to start out with energy. It's important to start out and let them know that we came to play, and to let them know that we're going to come to play defense, and we're going to rebound, and we're going to do all the dirty work, and that we're ready to play this game.
Yeah, I think it's important for us to set the tone early, not only for the other team, but for us to give us confidence and starting out on our defense to help us get our offense going.
Question on the front, and then we'll go back to the aisle.
For Alexis Prince, can you talk about how your game has evolved from last season to become as big of a contributor as you've been this season?
Yeah, I feel like I'm being more aggressive and just more healthy, able to move more and play defense better and just contribute any way that I can.
Question on the aisle or on the left side.
Brooke Pryor, the Oklahoman. Christy, I saw that it looked like your little sisters were here holding up a sign last night. I know you're all the way here from Australia. What's it like to have them make this big trip, and how long will they be here?
Yeah, it's very exciting. I'm so thankful and blessed to have the support I have and a family that, made the effort to come see me play, which is really exciting. They're going to be here till it's like April 6th, I think it was. So they'll be here for a little while.
Question on the front right.
Kalani, you said you'd gone against McCowan. You're familiar with her. You'd gone against her in AAU ball. But what are the challenges when you're facing somebody who is as big as you, as opposed to maybe somebody who is trying to guard you a different way? I mean, what's that like when you go against somebody that's that big? It probably doesn't happen that often.
It doesn't. Instead of dealing with a double team and worry about a double team, you may not have to worry about it. But definitely getting my shot over her length is probably going to be the biggest challenge.
Got a question all the way in the back left corner.
Andy Lee with WTVA in Tupelo, Mississippi. This question is for Christy. Going back to the guy from Seton Hall a long time ago, and Patty Mills and Della Vadova, how did basketball become so big in Australia?
I don't think it's as big for women's basketball back home in Australia. It's kind of grown over the last few years a little bit. But yeah, it's such a big difference from, playing in Australia to playing college basketball. It's just the fans, the media, the gear you get is incredible. So I'm so thankful and blessed to be a part of it.
Question on the front right.
This is for Nina. One of the things Mississippi State is they're sort of comparing you guys to South Carolina in terms of personnel, a team that they've played 3 times. Is there anybody that you guys have played that reminds you somewhat of Mississippi State?
I can't say that we have. I'm probably wrong, but off the top of my head, I really can't remember. Mississippi State is a great team. They have great guards. You have Vivian's that's a great player. She puts up a lot of shots. She can shoot it from deep. You have Dillingham that can come off, and she's a great defensive player with mid-range. And they also have a post presence. So it's definitely going to be a good game, and it's going to be a good challenge that we'll have to come out ready to play.
Any further questions for our student athletes? Okay, ladies, we're going to let you go back to the locker room, and the locker room is now open. So if anybody needs to ask questions of any of the student athletes, they will be there. Please watch your step going down. Okay, we'll take questions for Coach Mulkey. Got one on the front, and we'll come across.
Good afternoon, Coach. Can you talk about how the kids have bought in, if there's necessarily been a buy-in to sharing the basketball as much as you guys have this season, if you think that's a good way to describe what you guys do offensively?
Well, I've never had a problem with kids sharing the ball. My biggest challenge as a coach this year was this much talent, this much depth, to make sure I have the right people on the floor at the right time, combinations on the floor. Look, I can only start 5, but I've got more than that could start. And, that's been my challenge as a coach. And I just think we're hitting on all cylinders right now. I think we knew we had the depth, but the depth sometimes wasn't producing on a consistent basis. You'd have one kid that'd have a great night, and the next game you wouldn't hear from them. But I think right now, if you've seen our 3 games in the playoffs, they're all hitting on all cylinders, and you hope you can extend that.
Question on the front.
Coach, they've done something different in the tournament than during the regular season in terms of the starters and how Vivian's, and the other 3 that started for most of the season haven't started. Does that change anything in terms of preparing for them?
Why are they making those changes? You'd have to ask them. Is that a chemistry problem? Is that a, who's playing better problem? I don't know. But It doesn't change anything for us. We've got to guard 10 players because even when the other guys were in the starting lineup, he was playing those same players. It's just a group is starting now that wasn't starting. In fact, I think he's starting kids now that didn't start an SEC game at all. So he's very confident in his team.
Outside right.
Yeah, Coach, a lot of times when you're talking about a team that's big and has depth at that inside positions, you're not necessarily talking about a team that pushes the ball, is averaging 90 points a game. How are you guys able to balance those things? You have that size, but yet be able to push the tempo the way you do?
Well, we run. I mean, from day one and in recruiting, this is a game of entertainment. We're going to run. Now, that doesn't mean games aren't won and lost in the half court when you get down to crunch time, but our posts are going to run foul line to foul line, and they know that. I think Kalani Brown is a great example. Her freshman year, she was bigger and slower and softer, and now you look at her, and she's just a different player. Beatrice runs well anyway. Cox runs well anyway. But, we like to push it and run, and we've got enough depth that when you get tired, we'll give you a break.
We got a question on the aisle, and then we'll come up to the front.
Jordan Smith, Baylor Lariat. With this being one of the best senior classes in program history, how much of a responsibility do you feel as a coach to get these players past the Elite Eight into the Final Four and a hopeful national championship?
Well, I don't feel responsible at all. I'm not going to make the first pass, shoot the first bucket, or dribble. All I can do is help them develop as players, show them the film, show them what I think will work, and it's their job to go do it. I think when they came to Baylor, they wanted to get to a Final Four. I think anybody that comes to Baylor wants to get to a Final Four. We've set the bar that high. But if they don't make it, I think there are a lot of kids and a lot of programs that would love to trade places with 4 Elite Eights.
Question on the front right.
With Jones being out, for the time that she was, how would you assess the way that she has gotten herself back into a groove coming off the bench as opposed to starting?
Well, she's in there quickly. Like I said, I can't start but 5. I could start her the next game. She has extremely high tolerance of pain, and the injury was a bone bruise, and they tell me that that's just a matter of time and what your tolerance of pain is, and I don't see her as being a liability out there at all. And certainly going to need her for ball handling tomorrow with the pressure that Mississippi State brings. Christy is good, but Christy's going to need a breather every now and then, so it helps us against a team like Mississippi State to have her back.
Question in the middle.
Yeah, Hugh Kellenberger from the Clarion Ledger. This is Mississippi State's first trip to the Elite Eight. In your mind, what does it take to build a successful program, and what have you seen from Vic Schaefer and what he's done to build them up?
Well, you have to have a commitment from your administration first. Then you have to have a great staff that's not out looking for a job every day, that wants to stay and help you build it. And then you have to go get players. And when we built it at Baylor, we weren't, necessarily able to get in the doors of the blue chip recruits. We had to go build it with kids that were, I don't want to say second tier, but they weren't the tops on the big time programs list. And we built with those kids. And that's how we built it at Baylor. I think that Vic does have better players than I had within my 5 years, because he's got a McDonald's All-American in the paint in McCowan. Vivian's, he's got a heck of a lot more talent than I had in my first 5 years.
Question on the front right.
Obviously, you went against his defenses when he was an assistant at Texas A&M. What are the things, I guess, most specifically that are difficult to go against with Vic Schaefer defensive teams?
You're going to see pressure everywhere. Just handle the pressure. And realize that there's not going to be an easy pass. You're going to have to work to get open. You're going to have to work for everything you get. They're going to guard you. And, just prepare for that. I think that we're going to guard them too.
Question on the outside left, and then we'll come to the aisle.
Coach Schaefer is coaching his Blair right now. You had experience coaching your daughter. What was that like for you, and just how has your relationship with Mackenzie grown now that she's on your staff as well?
Well, he's probably a lot smarter than I was. He's playing his daughter earlier than I played mine. You know, I kind of made her suffer a little bit more, and because you tend to be a little bit harder on your own kids. It's good to see. I wish, you know, there were more of, you know, fathers, mothers coaching their kids. Tricia at Quinnipiac, is that how you say it? I'll never forget a communication I got from her when I was coaching Mackenzie, because her daughter was getting ready to go into her program, and the words that she said to me, and then to see the success her team is having, it just touches my heart. You know, I just have a special place in my heart for coaches who can coach their own kids, do it fairly, and win. And he's doing that with his child.
We got a question on the aisle.
Craig Smokey, ESPN Central Texas. Piggybacking off of an earlier question to Nina, does this team remind you of anyone that you have faced this season? Similarities?
No, just their defense is different than anything we've seen. Now, we've seen size. I mean, Oklahoma's got Mulkey at 6'9". We've seen the height, I should say. You know, she's not built like Tierra. Beatrice played against Big T, and Kalani has, Cox. They've all played against each other during the summer. On the perimeter, I can't think of anybody that just really stresses defensive pressure like that. Other teams I've had, obviously, when we played A&M, but I'm not sure any of these kids, you know, have played against A&M.
Go ahead and ask you another question.
Yeah, go ahead.
With dealing with the combinations and trying to figure out the right combos to throw at certain times, is sometimes a gut instinct, and how do you go about, with so many talented players, trying to figure out the right moment for the right, I guess, combination?
There is no perfect answer. It's just the flow of the game, the feel of the game, what's working, what's not working, give that kid a chance, foul trouble, how much time, it's all of that. There's no plan that I have going into a game where, okay, at this minute, when we get to this minute mark, we're going to put this one in. It's just a feel for the game. Sometimes you make the right decisions, and sometimes you don't.
Question on the front right.
Kim, we've sort of seen some fire in the belly from Christy, you know, just out on the court. Does she remind you a little bit, I mean, not height-wise or anything, but does she remind you a little bit personality-wise on the court of yourself, or has she sort of carried that onto the court?
I think Christy does have that fire in her belly. I think that may be close to what I used to play with, but Christy needs to have more of a confidence within that it's okay to point your finger, it's okay to tell them where to go, and I think that she's become better at that. It's difficult when you have 4 seniors, you have All-Americans around you. I think she's had to grow into that role. And if you'll remember last year, she was our off guard. So she's really kind of in a new position, but a comfortable position, because that's what she plays back home.
Another question?
Vivian's has had some struggles in terms of shooting, but she's also the kind of player that can take over a game shooting-wise. What are some of the challenges when she's playing well of facing her?
Well, now that we have seen in our league, because we see a lot of great perimeter shooters in our league, and when they get on a roll, you just have to figure out a way to stop it, either deny them the ball or, you know, take away their dominant hand. You can't let them just get comfortable. Change your defense maybe. But, yeah, she's a tremendous player.
Question all the way in the rear.
Brian Sandler, Spectrum Sports. Coach, I believe last year the bracelet said 8 is not enough or something along those lines. Now you're here again, especially for the seniors for whom this is their last chance to get to a Final Four. How do you make sure that pressure doesn't get too big?
I don't think – we're just not the kind of team that gets all nutted up. It's just not who we are. We're all business. We go over detailed scouting reports. We give them a game plan. We make sure they're prepared. I've just never left the floor where I thought we've lost a game because we, choked or nutted up. I've always felt that when we've gotten beat, even in the worst upsets, we got beat by a team that played darn good and played better. And whoever wins tomorrow, two good teams, whoever plays the best is going to win. Whoever makes plays is going to win. At this stage, got some good coaches and some good teams left, and a little wrinkle here and there, a little execution here and there is usually the difference between the ball games.
Question on the aisle.
Kim, earlier this month, your comments were what kind of grabbed the headlines after senior day. Do you feel like the attention has turned back to your team, especially with the way that they've been playing through the NCAA tournament?
Yes.
Any further questions for Coach? One last time. Any more? Okay, Coach, we'll see you tomorrow night.
Thank you.